So as usual, the purpose of our online live class is because we wanted to discuss about the question. So I'm assuming that all the materials, all the videos are watched by you at your own time. So we will just discuss the question to clarify something that you are not clear about. Okay, this is the purpose of our class. Okay, I hope that we can finish our class early because we will have our iftar, isn't it? Okay, so let's go to page number 7. Okay. So can you see my screen clearly? Should I make it larger? I think this is the largest possible. Okay. So my question here is, okay, you are familiar with this diagram, isn't it? Anyone who are not familiar with this diagram? No one. So I'm assuming that you are familiar with this diagram. So before we arrive to this point, definitely we have um, derived it from here, economic efficiency. Okay, so we will start with, there are 3 conditions to have economic efficiency or efficient allocation. You have to satisfy efficiency in consumption. Okay, so in consumption, when we talk about consumption, you are rearranging, you are allocating between good X and good Y because we are talking about consumption. Okay, and this is the first requirement for efficiency. And we also have to satisfy the efficiency in production. When we talk about production, we are talking about how do you want to produce your X and Y. So we are rearranging the capital and labor because goods should be produced or can be produced using capital and labor. Okay, and the last one, you also have to satisfy the production mix efficiency. It means that you combine your production and consumption diagram at one point. So this diagram, if you can see my cursor, this diagram refers to your production possibility frontier or PPF. Okay, this is for the production, and this indifference curve is for your consumption. Okay, so when your consumption tangent with your production, you will have the efficient point. Okay, they should be intercept to each other. Okay, this is very common microeconomics concept. Okay, for information, environment is one part of economics or micro. So we call it environmental economics. So there must be economic concept discussed in this chapter or in this course. Okay, so now, oh, so where is it? So my question was, okay, you can see that this is your diagram. Okay, okay. So we are talking about utility of person B. You can see that my cursor, this is U. U is representing utility and person B, and this is utility of person A. So the PPC or PPF, PPC is production possibility curve or frontier. So the PPF or PPC tangent with your indifference curve. So we can say that point B is the efficient point, the maximum efficient allocation of resources. Okay, my question here is just to test your understanding. Why point A and point C are not efficient? They are on the PPF or they are on the PPC. Why they are not efficient? So let's start with Abi Aziz. Can you please tell me why point A and point C are not efficient?
Bounty A and B or Bounty B and C?
Point A and C.
Yeah, Bounty A and C.
Why they are not efficient? Because
Yeah,
Halima,
because
you mm-hmm.
because of it is not the line.
It is not the line.
Yeah,
What does it mean?
this line, we line, W line.
What line? W line. Okay. So how about Halima? What do you think? Why point A and point C are not efficient? Halima?
Yes, mother. Uh, this question I don't know how to say. Because I see the your video, I can understand what this means.
You
So
have you watched the video?
yeah, I watch this video, but I can understand this means.
Okay.
So, Madam,
So
can you ask me the answer?
can I ask you the question again, or should I tell you the answer? Which one?
No, tell me this answer.
Okay. Okay. So my question was why point A and point C are not efficient while point B are efficient. You can see that A, B, and C are on the PPF or on the production possibility frontier. Why B are efficient is efficient? Because in order to be efficient, your PPF should be tangent or should intercept with the indifference curve. So this W line is your indifference curve. Indifference curve means your utility function for individual. So this PPF is actually for productions or the firms or producer, while this indifference curve, the W is your indifference curve for consumer. So productions and consumers should intercept to each other to have an efficient point. So point A, it doesn't intercept this W, right? Okay, maybe I should, oh my God, I should draw something, right? But my marker is somewhere else. Okay, so it's better to draw a diagram so that you can see it clearly. Right. I forgot to set it up earlier because I just finished my meeting. Okay. Um, okay. Anything anything else you want to ask whilst I'm setting up my marker? Abdi Aziz or Halima, do you have any other question?
No, madam.
No, ma'am.
No, no have any question.
Ah, so you're waiting for my answer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is just your simple microeconomics course. Okay, let me see. Um, okay, it's working now. Okay, so let me draw a diagram. Okay, I hope that you can see my screen. Okay, the same diagram. Okay, so in order to learn economics, you really have to draw many diagrams. So this is utility for person B. This is utility for person A. So this PPF, production possibility frontier, this is for producer because we call it production, right? So production is for producer. Okay, so this PPF should tangent with your indifference curve. This is your indifference curve. Indifference curve is for consumer. Okay, so let me write this is point B, right? And this is point A. Well, this is point C. Okay, so if you want to draw your indifference curve for point A, let me draw it here. Okay, can you see that? Okay, do you know what is indifference curve? So there are some rules for indifference curve. Okay, let me write it here. Okay, this is indifference curve 1. This is indifference curve 2. This is indifference curve 3. Indifference curve said that the higher you are, this is your origin. The higher you are from the origin, the higher your utility. So which indifference curve will give you higher utility? 1, 2, or 3? Everyone?
Madam, I think maybe is one.
Okay, okay. So this is your origin. 0 is your origin. This is 0, okay? So this is your indifference curve. So it says that the higher the indifference curve from the origin, the higher the utility. So indifference curve 1 is closer to the origin. So the utility is not high. So indifference curve 2 have higher utility compared to indifference curve 1. Indifference curve 3 will have higher utility because indifference curve 3 is actually higher than means that far away from the origin. Origin is 0 here. Okay, so remember for indifference curve, when they are higher than or far away from the 0 point here, so their utility is higher. So in this case, let's get back to this diagram. So you can see that point B and point A. Point B have a higher indifference curve. It means that point B will have a higher utility. Let's draw for point C. This is point C, right? The indifference curve should be somewhere here. If you compare point C and point B, which indifference curve is higher? Definitely point B. So compared to A, B, and C, among all these, definitely point B will give you a higher utility. Okay? Okay. So that was my question. Any question before we move to the next question? So make sure that if you don't understand it, please let me know. Basically, we are revising what you have learned in microeconomics. Well, it's fine. Maybe you may have forgot the course, but let me know if you didn't get it, okay? Because you have to have a strong economics or microeconomic background. If you don't have it, you will have a trouble in this course. So we will do some revision for the microeconomic concept, but please let me know if you forgot or you didn't understand them. Okay, so slide number 8. Okay, I have explained to you just now. So my question is, let me see here. When resources, you can see my screen, right? I'm purposely make it large. When resources move from inefficient to efficient allocation point, does it represent a welfare improvement? Or it doesn't represent a welfare improvement because we are moving from inefficient point to efficient point. Anyone? Does it represent a welfare improvement? Abi Aziz, want to say something?
Madam, I think maybe that is that's the word how to say. Uh, wait,
What is the answer?
mm,
So right now you are moving your resources from inefficient point to efficient point. So does it represent a welfare improvement?
Yeah, that is represent welfare indeed.
Abdi Aziz, did you watch the video?
Yeah, now madam.
Halima, what is your answer?
um, I think that is for maybe in because like the madam gives says seven the line we can see the A B C A for A and B that is how how to say
So you are saying that point A is efficient. So it moved to
A,
point B. B is also efficient.
yeah
But point B
and
compared to A has a higher utility,
yeah
right?
that yeah so I think maybe that is like a um
So the
this
answer is maybe
for
yes.
yeah maybe
Okay, we will look at it answer. Okay, basically I have actually explained this in the next slide. So if you watch the video, you should be able to answer it because the question I posted here and then the answer is straight away in the next slide, which is slide number 9. The answer is not necessarily, as the improvement might result in a lower level of social improvement. Okay, so if you look at here, okay, so you have point D, okay, point C, and point E. Okay, so we can just ignore point E. Let me redraw this diagram so that you can see it better. Okay, this is a new diagram. Okay, so you have this point, Where is point this D and C? So we have here and so this is point D, isn't it? And this is point somehow C. Is it true? Yes. Well, okay. Okay. Where is my cursor? Okay. So now it says that um, when you move from inefficient point to efficient point, does it represent a welfare improvement? So the answer is not necessarily, because if you look at here, okay, D is efficient point, right? Because we are on the PPF, we are on the production possibility curve or frontier. C is inside the PPF. Remember, if you want to have an efficient point, everything should be on the PPF. Okay, this is your PPF. Everything should be on the PPF. D is efficient, right? But if let's say you have another point here, E, even though D is efficient, but E will have a higher utility compared to D. So people will prefer E, because if you want to draw the indifference curve, the indifference curve for E is higher. Okay, so higher indifference curve means higher utility. But if you want to compare D and C, so in point C, you are inefficient. Okay, so if I want to draw a new diagram, let me tell you about PPF, right? Production Possibility Frontier. So all these points along this PPF, they are efficient in terms of your production. But if you produce somewhere here, they are not efficient. Inside the PPF, they are not efficient. Outside the PPF, they are unattainable. So you have to make sure that you produce on this PPF line. Okay? So if you compare here, D is on PPF, so D point D is efficient. Point C inside the PPF, so point C is inefficient, right? So we have agreed on this. However, if you compare point C and point D, can you see about the indifference curve? So this is indifference curve 1, this is indifference curve 2. Indifference curve for point C is actually higher compared to indifference curve for point D, right? Even though point C is inefficient, but somehow it gives us the higher utility. Okay, so if you look at here, let me get back to the question. When we move the resources from inefficient point, so inefficient point is point C, and you want to move to efficient point. Efficient point here is point D, right? If you look at the point D is efficient. Where is my marker? Point D is efficient. Point C is not efficient. But does it actually represent a welfare improvement? In terms of utility, it doesn't represent higher utility. In fact, if you move from point C to point D, you will get a lower utility. This is the answer for this question. Okay, not necessarily you will get a better utility. Okay, so it shows here that point C to D, you have efficient allocation but not Pareto improvements, or we can say not improve in terms of your utility, because you will get a lower utility. Okay, okay, now I got it. Is it clear? So basically I have explained the question, the answer in the next slide. So the purpose of us having the discussion, so that to make sure that everyone should understand it better. Okay, any question regarding this question?
No, madam. It's
No,
clear.
I hope that everyone is clear. Okay, uh,
Mm.
because sometimes when you watch the video, you may get sleepy, you may be less focused. But when we have the online session, I can always ask you straight away, isn't it? Not to punish you, but just to check your understanding. So, slide number 10. Okay, so this is about market failure. I hope that you know what is market failure. You have learned this in microeconomics as well as macroeconomics. So the examples of market failure is like when you have pollution, negative externalities, when you are dealing with public goods. So give me the examples of market failure in your country. because this may also help you to come up with your project paper, the title of your project paper. Is there any concerns on the market failure in your place? Give me the example. Let's start with Abdi Aziz.
You need a market failure in my country.
Yeah, give me the example. Is there any?
A lot of market failure.
Just give me one example. You don't have to list hundreds of them. Any example, Abdi Aziz?
Example, I know one remittance.
Uh-huh.
One remittance in my country.
Uh-huh.
They exit the market.
They what?
They exit the market.
One polluter.
Yeah, one remittance.
Okay.
They exit the market.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's hear from Halima.
Yes, madam. I think my country don't have this market for,
Really? So you don't
yeah.
have any problem with pollution?
Yes, I think no have, but I think America have.
Wow. I I haven't aware any country that don't have any market failure issue.
For
Yeah.
my city, I think no have.
Don't you have a traffic jam?
Another city, I don't know. For me, I think I know found this.
Okay. Don't you have any traffic jam in your place?
No,
No. Don't you have any car in your area?
mm, no, I think no, because my city is people is a lot of no have a lot of people. So, um, the the market, I think that is good.
Okay. So my question was, don't you have any cars, any transportation in your place? Cars,
Cars.
vehicles, vehicles. Don't you have any vehicles? Okay,
um,
maybe you didn't get my point. So let me write it here. Um, cars or vehicle. Don't you have cars?
yes,
You do. So
yeah,
if you do have cars, definitely cars will pollute air pollution, will emit some pollution, right? Isn't
yes.
it? So all parts of the world, regardless of where the city are you living in, where which area, how remote the area is, how how far your city from the town is. Normally, we still have a market failure. The issue is maybe it is very serious or not serious. As long as you have this car, you should have market failure. But maybe the problem is not that serious, isn't it? And
Oh,
as long as
like the remember, right?
yeah, as long as you have people, don't you have people in your place? You must have people, right? You must have person. Unless there is no people living in your area, you only have like jungle and you have animal there, only animal living in that area, that is fine. You will not have market failure. But as long as you have people, they will definitely cause pollution or
Oh,
market failure, right?
oh, I know.
Yeah, so people, there are many ways on how to pollute the environment. They can burn their waste when they burn their waste behind or next to their house, this waste burning will, or open burning we call it, will definitely pollute the air quality. People, when they want to move from one place to another place, they will drive a car. So car definitely will cause air pollution. And people sometimes will make noise pollution. Noise. When we talk too much, when there are people gathering, talking, then, well, some kind of pollution. Like so many things, right? So sometimes the pollution, the market failure are always there. The difference is that sometimes it is not that serious, sometimes it may be very serious. In this case, the river doesn't look like a river, right? I was like thinking, what is it? Is it a road? Well, it's actually a river because these poor people are living in this uh, remote area. Not really remote. They are in the suburb area, so they pollute their environment because they don't have any proper waste management system. So the easiest way is just to throw into the river, and later on the river is somehow covered with all these waste. So you can have many types of market failure, but sometimes they may not be serious, sometimes they may be serious. Okay, and public good is also one type of market failure. So if you are living in a place, don't you have air to breathe in? Don't you have what forest? So when we talk about public good, don't you know what is public good? For instance, air quality. If you have land, if you have river, if you have maybe ocean, these are the examples of public good. So if you have public good, oh, we can also have something which is not nature. You can also have traffic light. So this is also public good. When you have this public good, or maybe bridge, or maybe a playground, or perhaps what else? All the examples of public good that can be shared with everyone. When you have this public good, definitely it will lead to market failure. Okay? Okay.
Oh, I know. Oh, thank you.
Okay. So market failure is not necessarily just externality. It can also covers public goods, inadequate property right, imperfect information. Sometimes you wanted to know about um uh, a company or anything, but you don't have any information or imperfect information. So this is the examples of market failure as well. If you don't have market failure, basically all the informations are just in your fingertips, but not information are available for us, right? So this is the examples of market failure. Okay. So so this is slide number 10. We still have 30 minutes to go before we stop for iftar. So slide number 12, private goods. So do you want me to explain what is private good? Do you know what is private good? Everyone? Halima, do you know what is private good?
Yes, I know.
Yes. So there is no need for me to explain what is private good, isn't it? Okay. Since you know what is private good, so let me ask the question. Okay, Abdulaziz, now it's your turn to answer the question. Get ready. Can you give me an example to differentiate? Just one example to differentiate between excludability and rivalry. So give me one example to differentiate between these two, because these two definitions seems very uh, very related, or somehow many students cannot differentiate what is the difference between these two. So can you give me one example for each to differentiate between these two terms?
Yeah, can you repeat the two terms?
Okay, my question was, can you give me, if you look at my screen, can you give me an example, one example to differentiate between excludability, and rivalry. So give me one example for excludability. Give me one example for rivalry. How do they differ from each other? Abdulaziz, are you there?
Yeah,
Hmm, tell us.
exclu- excludability and one other term is
Mean?
excludability, right?
Okay, what does it mean? Give me the example.
Excludability and the other term what is?
I cannot hear your voice.
You cannot hear my voice.
I can only hear excludability, and then they said, what is it?
No, excludability. What is the other term?
It's what?
I didn't hear, man.
Okay, can we get the answer from Halima? What is it?
Uh, this is like for example, like the car.
Mm-hmm.
The car for the people. Uh, this is the
I give you the answer at the back so that you can see it. What is it? No, no
um
answer. Okay. Uh, okay, tell me.
uh like the car for the people. I buy this car. Another people can buy this one. So I think that is a rivalry, right? And
Mm,
and
mm,
and exclusivity. I don't know. This is a how to say the for example. This is
okay. So let me look at the definition. Excludability means that whether the agents or the person can be prevented from consuming it. You are trying to exclude that person from consume that private good. Rivalry means whether the person consumption is at the expenses of another or other person. Okay, so let me give you the example. So the examples is cars, or let me make it extreme, expensive or luxury car. So you know what is expensive car, right? The car is so expensive that no one can actually afford to buy the car. Only certain people with a certain income range can purchase this expensive or luxury car. Okay, so excludability means because the price of this car is so expensive, so it exclude many people, especially the poor people, from purchasing this car. So private car has the characteristics of excluding people from consuming it because of the price characteristics. Okay, so this one, uh, the example says expensive car, so it's exclude people who don't have purchasing power to purchase this expensive car. While rivalry means that your consumptions is at the expense of others. Okay, as I mentioned to you, just give one example. So we will take the examples of the same expensive car. So let's assume that you have five expensive car imported from, I don't know, from overseas. Okay, let me put it here, imported from overseas. So there are five expensive car are available in Malaysia. Okay, so you only have five cars, but in Malaysia you have perhaps 10 rich people. Okay, so these 10 people wanted to purchase these five expensive car, but you only have five. So only five rich people Okay, so let me write it. Only 5 rich people can get this 5 expensive car. So person number 6, okay, let me write it here. Person number 6 cannot purchase this car anymore. So we can say that the consumptions of these 5 rich people is actually at the expense of the other people. So once they have consumed 5 cars, 5 luxury cars, people number 6, number 7, 8, 9, 10 cannot purchase this car anymore because it is very limited edition. Okay, so this is the example, the extreme example, that your consumptions of this car is at the expense of others. If you didn't purchase this car, other people wanted to purchase it, but because you have purchased it, so they cannot purchase this car anymore, so they will feel so sad because of your consumption. Okay, got it? Okay, clear? So this is slide number 12. When you keep silent, I'm assuming that you have understood them. Okay, unless you say something, then I will stop and answer your question. So slide number 14. Okay. Okay, so my question is, um, public good. Let me read the point first. Public good will tend to be undersupplied by the markets. So my question is raised by this person. So why is that? Why the public good will be undersupplied by the market? You know that when you have a public good, everyone will be happy because public good normally result in positive externality, means that everyone will get the benefits of public good. People are happy to get this public good. So why do the public good will be undersupplied by the market if the benefits is larger?
Um, that's
Which you can
about the
yeah,
government.
because
That is about the government. Uh, some countries that government is have too many money. They think that is public goods is
yeah.
very
So
important. But some country no have a lot of money, so their public goods is not good. I think.
okay. Okay, so some country, as you said, may not have enough money to supply the public goods, so the government will play the role. But if that's the case, you are talking about the public. Definitely, public may not have the money, right? So let me show you what do I mean. So in the economy, you have what we call public or consumer, or we can call it household. And in economy, you also have government, and you also have a firm or company, right? So you are saying that the public people may not have money to supply the public good because public good is very expensive. Yeah, so because of that, the government will take place. But how about the firm? Why don't, when we talk about market, we are talking about the firm. Why do the firm supply it? Firm have a lot of money. They have a lot of investment, right? Why don't they supply the public good? Because we know that the public people may not have money, but how about the firm? Don't they have enough money to supply the public good? Because why the firm didn't want to supply the public good? Because
Because I think for the people, they need to pay the money and need for some people they don't think that is I must need to do or and think that is a thing that is a public.
okay. Normally, as I told you, when we provide public good, it will give us positive benefit. Definitely, the benefits are large. But what the public, consumer, household, they love to have the public good. But because they don't have money, they cannot afford to pay a higher price. because public goods is very expensive, right? For example, the provisions of traffic light or traffic lights or street light, right? When you don't have the street light, what happened during the night? People cannot drive properly because you cannot see the light. But when you have the light on the street, people will get the benefits, so you can drive during the night. But why do they couldn't afford it? Because they don't have money. But the firm, they have the money. Why didn't they supply the public good? Because for your information, the answer is in next slide. Because once the public good is expensive, even the firm has money, but they cannot get the return out of it, right? The price is expensive. So for the firm, for the company, they are profit oriented. Whatever they do, whatever investment they make, they wanted to make sure that they have a, a return or profit. But if let's say they supply the public good, they cannot get a profit out of it. Why? Because the characteristic of public good is that it is non-excludable and it is non-rivalry. Means that when they provide the street light on the road or on the street, they cannot exclude people. Some people may not be able to pay for it, but they cannot exclude these people from consuming it because everyone can enter into the street, right? So they cannot get enough profit out of it. And non-rivalry means that everyone can consume it, and your consumption will not be at the expense of your friends. So people can do whatever they like to your property, even though the firm has provided this to us with the expectation that you will pay for it. But because the characteristic of public good, you cannot exclude people from consuming it, and it is non-rival. People don't have to compete to get it. People can do whatever they like. So the company or the firm cannot get profit out of it, or they cannot get the profit by providing this public good, right? Okay. So the answer is here. Who will supply a public good? Definitely the government. And we also have the problem of free rider. So even though they didn't pay for it, they still can enjoy the benefits of public good. That's why only the government can supply or provide this public good, because definitely government cannot get the benefit, cannot get money from it, but they have to supply it for the benefits of the society. Okay, next one, slide number 17. Okay, so now, uh, this is the graphical examples of public good. Why the firm cannot supply this public good? Because, well, we have one more person to join our class. I don't know. Did he need my permission? Okay. Musa, you are very late. We are almost finished our class. Not really finished. Finished the first session. We still have the second session. Okay. So, this is also how to answer my previous question. Okay, this is in terms of the graphical illustration. Okay. So I'm assuming that you have watched my video, so you should understand this. So my question here is, why do the demand curve? So for your information, demand curve represent their marginal willingness to pay for that products or for that goods. So the y-axis represent your dollar or money that you are willing to pay. X-axis is actually represent the goods. So it can be a public good, it can be whatever good, private good, it can be pollutions or anything. It can be a product, okay, whatever product that we are talking about. So in this case, we are talking about public good. Okay, so my question is, why do the demand curve for the public good is downward sloping? So whatever shape that our demand curve look like, or supply curve, whether it is horizontal, downward sloping or whatever, it should have a reason. Why is our demand curve downward sloping for the public good? Hmm. Let's ask Abdi Aziz. Any answer for this question? Remember, demand curve represent marginal willingness to pay. How much are you willing to pay? Or basically, marginal is additional amounts that you are willing to pay. Tell me.
Yeah, can you repeat?
Huh? Can I
Can
repeat my
you repeat?
question? Of course, I can. My question was why the demand curve uh, is actually downward sloping. For the public good.
For the public good.
Hmm.
Because of uh, consumers can access the book.
Because what?
Because of consumers can access public good.
Can access the public good, so it is downward sloping?
No,
Mm, okay. So tell me why the demand curve for the private goods, this is your normal good, is downward sloping. Tell me the law of the demand. Huh. We have learned about law of demands, right? And law of supply. So
yeah.
tell me why the demand curve for the private, this is private, not really public. Why the demand for the private good is downward sloping? Because this is a simple economics concept, everyone. Okay, okay. Because of the time constraint. So, law of the demand says why the demand curve is the downward sloping. The higher the price, definitely the low the good is demanded, right? When you have higher price, so you will demand less. Okay, if let's say I want to draw here, so at this price, definitely perhaps the price is $10. So you will demand zero because it is too expensive. For instance, you are talking about you purchase what? A pencil. So 10 ringgit for a pencil, that is it's not worth it. You think that it is very expensive. So you will demand zero of this pencil or pen. Okay? So when the price is too expensive, so you will have low demand. But then when the price of this pen or pencil get reduced from here, so from 10 you will get 5 ringgits. So maybe you will demand some amounts of pencil. You may demand maybe some people will demand for it. For instance, 10 people will demand at this price. Okay, so the lower the price, the higher your demand, right? The higher your quantity demanded. Okay, so this is the law of the demand. Means that the lower the price, the higher your demand for the particular goods of private goods. How about the public good? Okay, so public good, the explanation is a bit different because your this one is dollar or ringgit or in term, this is the money, and your demand curve here is actually marginal willingness to pay. This is your public good. Okay, so why it is downward sloping? Because of what? Because at this price, for instance, let me put it 10. Okay, what is it? Well, it is too expensive, right? So no one will pay for it. But at this point, okay, maybe 8. So tell me how to explain this. No one. Okay. Okay. So basically, why it is downward sloping? Because we are talking about public goods. So the explanation is that when you don't have any public good, people are willing to pay for higher price, which is $10. But later on, when you have more of the X, okay, when you move from 0 to whatever, maybe this is 100. So at when you have zero public good, okay, the explanation is a bit different or a bit tricky. When you have zero public good, people are willing to pay for higher price, which is 10 ringgit or $10. But when you have more public good, when you move to the right, for instance, here you have 10 public good. So 10 here, people are willing to pay maybe 9 ringgit because now you have more of the public good. But when you have more public good, for instance, you have here is 50 public good. When you have 50 public good, people are willing to pay less, maybe $3. Okay, so it says that the more you have the public good, the lesser people willingness to pay for it. Okay, this is willingness to pay. But when you don't have any, you have zero public good, you have zero street light, people are willing to pay a lot because they wanted to have it. But when they already have one or two, so their willingness to pay is diminishing because they already have it, so they can enjoy it, even though it is a small amount. Okay, got it? Clear? So the explanation is a bit different, slightly different with the explanations of private good. Okay, got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
madam.
So now it's 6:58. This is slide number 17. I have four more slides. Okay, let's go to slide number 21. Okay. Okay, so this is your exercises. We are talking about the heading here is the market failure or externality. So my question here is, are people in this photo, can you see the photo? I hope you can see it clearly. You have
Yes.
cars and you have air pollution everywhere. So are people who are driving the cars, or we can say, are people in this photo suffering from the impacts of market failure? Yes or no?
I think is yes.
Why? Because they have air pollution.
Yeah.
Okay, let me explain. Okay, so this market failure is actually negative externality, right? When we talk about pollution, we are referring to negative externality. So let me see what is the definitions of externality, because many of my students got confused. Okay, they don't really understand the definitions of externalities. Okay, so this is the definition. When decisions of one agent or one person have an impact on another agent in an unintended way and no compensation is made. Okay, so if I want to, mm, okay, we don't have enough space. Okay, so there are actually two person here. This is person A, this is person B. Okay, person A and B are having a deal. Okay, A sells something to B, B pays something to A, right? So A will give money to B while B will give goods or services to A. So this transaction means that these two parties are making transaction. So their transaction should not have an impact to this person C. Person C has nothing to do with their transaction, right? So their transaction should not affect person C. When person C get the effects of out of their transaction, so person C will get the externality. Okay, so if you look at the definition, when decisions of one agent, person A, have an impact on another agent, which is person C, in an unintended way, and no compensation are given, so we can say person C are suffering from negative externality. So if you look at this diagram, this image, so these people are driving their car. So they are actually making not really transaction, they are involving in this. Maybe they drive the car because they wanted to go for their office or they wanted to go for work. So they are actually the person who are in the transaction or making the transaction or involved in this business. So they are actually not suffering from the market failure. If let's say uh, they or those who are driving the car which actually emitting air pollution affect someone who are actually walking. Okay, so if you look at these people, they are driving their car, So they are not suffering from the market failure because they are the one who are getting the benefits of this air pollution. They are making air pollution, but in return, maybe when they go for work, they will get income. So they are not suffering from these externalities. But if let's say this one person C, actually is walking, and she didn't do anything, she didn't emit any pollution, but she suffered from the air pollution from this A and B person or these cars. So we can say that person C is suffering from market failure. But these people who are driving their car and polluting the environment are not suffering from the market failure, the impacts of market failure. Okay? Because they are the one who are doing the business. Okay, got it. Next one is number 26. Wow, it's already 7. We have 26, 28, and 38. Okay. Um, I think we should stop here and resume our class perhaps around do you want to resume our class 8 8 10, or you want to continue it later? Because uh we still have to have a replacement class, which I think we can make it maybe tomorrow or other time, which is not at 6 p.m. So do you want to continue or you want to have another time to discuss this?
Later is tomorrow.
Tomorrow is fine, but how about everyone? Tomorrow is fine?
I think tomorrow that is okay.
Tomorrow,
Tomorrow at what time, madam?
tomorrow is what time? Let's see. So, okay, since we are searching for the time, let me end the recording, right? Okay, so that the recording will be very, very long. So let me uh, end the recording first. Yes.